What's up, everybody? Daemon Hatfield here, host of IGN's GameScoop podcast. Got an email here from listener Joe, who asks, is it possible for companies to manufacture old electronics? Let's say fans want to have a new Super Nintendo or NES for the sake of collecting and cathartic release. I wonder how big the numerical demand must be to justify the order. Joe, to help me with this question, I'm going to bring in my good friend Sam Claiborne from
What's up, everybody?
Our guides team. He's also a retro gaming enthusiast like myself. Sam, is it possible for Nintendo to start remanufacturing the NES again?
Well, you know, there's nothing like playing a actual game with an actual Nintendo controller, right? And so a lot of the systems you get now, or a lot of the ways you play games now are emulated in different ways, and they're just not as cool. So a dream of mine is to play an actual NES, possibly that looks just like an old NES, maybe smaller. But as far as we know, Nintendo wouldn't go for that because, as the emailer mentioned, they just don't have the built-in audience for it.
You don't think so? See, I feel like so many people out there who don't even identify themselves as gamers, they're at Target and they see the NES is on the shelf there for like $50. I feel like so many people would pick that up.
Yeah, you know, I agree with you because I'm a retro gamer and I buy old games all the time. I go to the flea market and buy them. And you know, to back up that, your point is that there are a lot of people actually manufacturing old systems right now using kind of expired patents and stuff like that. And there's several of them on the market.
You're talking about the clone systems.
The clone systems.
So these are some options that are available out there. If Nintendo's not going to remake the NES, Sega's not going to remake the Genesis, there are options for clone systems that are available out there. And some of them are pretty cool. Yeah. One of them, it's called, what's it called here? The Hyperkin Retron 3. This is available on Amazon, and it's a console that plays NES games, Super Nintendo games, and Genesis games all in one system. And it takes the actual controllers, which I think is a key point, right? You want to be able to use those old controllers. Yeah. People make new controllers that plug into these systems. They never work right. They're terrible.
They don't feel right.
And you can get controllers on Amazon, you know, NES controllers for like $6 a piece. They're nothing. And then you can plug in all of your original NES cartridges, Super Nintendo cartridges, and play there on that one system. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, but in my experience, most of those have problems with playing certain types of games.
Yeah, it'll be like out of the NES library, certain games may or may not work.
Or like, say, SNES, games with FX chips are a problem, right? So Star Fox, and then I had trouble running Donkey Kong Country recently on the one I was using. So
you're talking about the Super Bowl?
Yeah, I'm talking about the Super Bowl.
This is another option. This is a portable Super Nintendo.
Yep, we got this one in the office. So this one's cool because you can plug in your old controllers and then plug it into a TV and use it like a Super Nintendo. It has its problems. As I said, it doesn't play Donkey Kong Country. But yeah, you can just take your old carts and, you know, it's not exactly emulation. It's using similar hardware to represent your old games as best as it can. It doesn't work so hot.
Yeah, the screen isn't great on this, but you can plug it into a TV.
Yeah, the screen works, which is cool, and you're actually playing Super Nintendo on the go. But my biggest problem is the D-pad, the controls. This one's cool because it looks like an old Nintendo system, which makes you think like, if Nintendo could do this, they could do it so much better.
Yes.
You know, like if they wanted to, they could make it look like a Super Nintendo. Yeah. You know, it might not necessarily be portable, maybe like a tiny Super Nintendo. We've seen they've reissued their systems.
I wonder
they did like a smaller Nintendo, and they did a smaller Super Nintendo in the mid to late 90s.
Right. Well, I wonder if it's because now Nintendo sells their old games digitally in the 3DS eShop and on WiiWare. So I wonder if they don't want to compete with themselves.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think I would buy reproduction old games too. That might be going a little far, but man, how great would it be to get their whole black box collection of NES games?
That would be good.
Just at the store.
There are a lot of options like this available. If you just look on Amazon, you know, for Super Nintendo NES, you'll find these clone systems. They're pretty cheap, I think. You know, but since they are not official products, you'll find them in various forms of quality. Yeah. But you know, for the convenience and for the cost, I think that kind of tends to make up.
Yeah, I think they cut a lot of corners to bring the cost down because you or I could go to the flea market or eBay or something and get a Super Nintendo or a Nintendo. That's your other option, right? Yeah. You could track down an old system, and they always work. It's kind of amazing.
Well, I hope that helps, Joe. Sam and I love retro games. If you ever want to talk retro games with us, hit us up on Twitter. And if you have your own questions for us that you'd like answered, email us at gamescoop@ign.com and listen to the podcast every Friday.